Once upon a time, not too long ago, unlike most fairy tales, there was a girl and her siblings who were educated by a family member at home. This is called being homeschooled. Her name is Bridget Unwin. Bridget has two sisters. Bridget is the oldest, and she is 16, and both her younger fraternal twin sisters, Kelly and Marana, are 15. Long before Bridget was born, her parents struggled to have children. However, they tried many times. One night, Rosie asked God in prayer, please give me a daughter that has hair as black as coal, skin as white as snow, and lips red as the rose. She knew in her heart that her prayer would be answered. Therefore, she happily fell asleep. A few days passed, and then she discovered she was pregnant. She was overjoyed. She informed her husband at once. He was overjoyed too. Even though the odds were stacked against them, they succeeded. She got her wish. She gave birth to a daughter who had hair as black as coal, skin as white as snow, and lips red as the rose. Of course, she was named Bridget. Then they had female fraternal twins who were named Kaylee and Marana. Their mother chose to homeschool them. That way she could keep them from having the many bad experiences she had. However, this did not stop the girls from wanting to try new things. They asked to take art classes, ballet classes, and other things. However, their mother always gave them a stern no. The girls also asked if they could have friends. However, their mother knew better, so she always said no. Soon the girls had to learn to deal with their circumstances. Unfortunately, Rosie passed away from breast cancer when Bridget was 16. Bridget and her sisters took over most of the housework so their dad could work more. With their mother gone, the girls homeschooled themselves for a while. For a while, their dad buried himself in his work. This left the girls with a lot of time to be together without a parent at home. After some of the sadness faded, the girls found it nice to have a lot of time without a parent at home. As time went on, the sadness of the loss of their mother began to fade. They began to adapt to their new lives. Bridget never thought what was coming up in their lives next could ever cause her to feel more emotions than seeing her mother die of cancer. What was coming up next she would never have thought of in her most unrealistic dreams. All started with their dad was at work, so the girls played together. Then Marana said, let's watch one of those crime shows that Dad cannot stand while he is still gone. Bridget and Kaylee both said, okay. The girls took seats in the living room. Marana turned on Watch Crime Daily. After 3 episodes, Bridget said, we better stop before we get into trouble. Kaylee nodded and said, okay. Marana turned it off and they went to their room to play. After a little bit, Bridget thought, we better make dinner before he gets home, so he does not bitch at us. Bridget said, okay, let's go make dinner now. Marana rolled her eyes and said, do we have to? Bridget said, we don't want to get into trouble. Bridget headed to the kitchen. The other two followed. And they began to cook. After they set the table, their dad came home from work. Once he came inside, they prayed and then began to eat. Bridget was sitting at the kitchen table with her family eating dinner. Then her dad said, girls, they all looked at him. He said, I am seeing a new woman. And all of the girls were instantly upset at hearing this. However, the girls kept their faces straight. They did their best not to show disgust. He continued talking. Well, I would love to bring her here, or Bridget thought, really, he replaced Mum so soon, and how could he? Kelly said when he said maybe tonight. Marana rolled her eyes. Bridget kicked her sister under the table to let her sister know not to do that because their dad would kill her. Marana was lucky that her dad did not catch her reaction. However, she was irritated that Bridget kicked her. She thought it was not that obvious. I rolled my eyes. Come on, Bridget. The other two sisters listened to their dad talk about his new love while Marana thought about Bridget kicking her. He said she loves to cook. She graduated from a charter school. Soon the other two girls turned out because they did not want their mother to be replaced. Soon they began to listen again as he said, I want this place cleaned up because I am bringing her here tonight. All the girls tried to hold back shocked faces. Bridget thought, we have to clean because he is bringing someone over. Why doesn't he clean? Is his friend who is coming over. After he was finished eating and talking to his girls, he got ready to go back to work. All the girls eagerly waited for him to head to work. Bridget watched him through the window exit. Once he was gone, the girls began to discuss this horrible situation. Kelly said, is he gone, Bridget? Bridget turned to her and said, yes. Bridget quickly locked all the doors. Her sisters sat in the living room and began to complain. Pelly yelled, he is replacing Mum. How could he? Marana began to vent angrily. This is absolutely ridiculous. We did almost all the housework when Mum was alive, and Mum and Dad both worked when she was alive. Now only Dad does. He thinks we are going to clean up after another person. Fuck no. With the doors locked and Marcus gone for sure, Bridget joined her sisters on the couch, and there was a hesitation as Marana thought this allowed Bridget to get a word in. She said, "Who said he is marrying her?" Both her sisters stared at her. Kelly said, "I have feeling he will. He wants us to meet her. He never lets our homeschooled asses meet any new people, but we are allowed to meet this lady. That is bullshit." Bridget said, "Well, I agree that it is bullshit that she is allowed to come over here and nobody else." Marana said, "What are we going to do?" Bridget really did not like this situation. However, she thought, what would Jesus do? And she said, well, Jesus would want us to give her a chance. Who knows, she may be able to convince Dad to let us have more freedom. The other two never thought of that. Kelly said, well, okay, I guess we will give her a chance. The other two looked at Marana. Marana said, well, okay, we will give her a chance. After cleaning up the dinner mess, the girls began to play. The girls tried to put their dad's new love life out of their heads. They played for a while, then Bridget remembered. She said, "Hello, no." Marana said, "What is it?" She said, "We have to clean up for that woman to come over." Kelly said, "Can we play instead?" Bridget wanted to, however. She said, "Come on, we can play while she is here if we get too bored." The two younger ones followed Bridget to the kitchen. They cleaned up some, however there was not a lot that needed to be done. Everyone was kind of on edge because of the many bad things that had happened. However, no one blew up. When the night fell, the girls got ready for that new woman to come in. They waited for a while. As they waited, they talked about what she might be like. However, they tried to be careful to be done before they walked in. Soon they heard a car pull up. Bridget looked out the window. She thought, oh no, well, here goes nothing. There is no way to get out of this. When the woman came in, all the girls felt really uncomfortable. Their father hung up her jacket and shut the door for her. Then he said, "Girls, this is August." The girls waved shyly. Their dad went to go get the pizza from the car. While he was gone, the girls were very shy. They said nothing to his girlfriend the whole time he was gone. Soon he returned with the pizzas and they sat down and ate. As they ate, everyone was very quiet. No one knew what to say to each other. Bridget thought, this is so awkward. Mum would not allow us to have friends and never allowed us to do anything outside the house. Now she is here. This is not fair. I wonder how Kelly and Marana are feeling. Who am I kidding? They are thinking the same thing. Could Dad just date her and never bring her here? Why does he have to bring her here? Hopefully this is the last time we do this. Bridget could barely eat. She was just weirded out by her current situation. After a lot of silence, Bridget snapped out of her thoughts and listened for a second. Her dad and Agus were talking. She soon went back to thinking because what they were talking about bored her. Once they were done eating, all the girls returned to their room. Once the last girl came in, they began to talk up a storm. Marana said, "This is so awkward." Bridget nodded and said, "Yes, but try to keep it down." Kaylee said, "We can't bring people over here, but Dad can." Bridget rolled her eyes because she agreed, and she said, "I was thinking that when we were eating." Kaylee got more irritated and said, "Well, I don't know if I can take this double standard anymore." And Bridget said, "Let's just play until she goes home." The girls began to play. Everything was going okay for them. Then they heard some footsteps coming their way. Marana shushed her sisters. They heard their dad say, "This is my room." Bridget nearly fainted. She thought, "He cannot be serious. He is showing her around the house. Please don't come into our room." Marana freaked out and said, "He cannot bring her into our room." Kaylee shushed her sister. Bridget whispered, "Just stay silent. Maybe he will pass." Bridget got an idea. She began to pray. She prayed, "God, please let them pass our room. Please don't let him get the idea of showing our room to her." Thank you, God, for everything you do for me. Please forgive me for every sin I have ever done. In Jesus' name, amen. Bridget decided not to worry because God had her back. She smiled. Knowing this, she began to play again. What she wanted to happen came true. They walked right by their room without opening the door. The two younger girls were surprised he did not open the door. Kelly said with shock, "He did not come in." Bridget said, "I asked God to have him not come in." Marana said, "Good thinking." Kaylee said, "That was very smart, Bridget." After a little bit, the girls heard the door open and shut. Bridget looked out the window. She saw their dad with his girlfriend. Bridget got away from the window and said, "Let's play instead." Bridget and her sisters played for a while. Soon the girls got tired. Bridget looked at her clock in her room. It read 11 p.m. Bridget was shocked to see this. She said, "Girls?" Marana said, "What?" Bridget said, "Dad never lets us stay up this late. What is going on?" Kaylee rolled her eyes and said, "He is probably still hanging out with his new wife." Bridget walked up to her door. She listened up against it. She heard them talking. Bridget said, "Who? She is still here." Marana expressed her dislike for all of this by saying, "Does she still have to be here? I always feel so tired after someone has been here, even our grandparents." Bridget said, "Really, I feel that way too after someone has been here." Kelly said, "Me three. This is weird." Bridget quickly replied, "No, it is not. We are all girls. We have the same parents. We are all homeschooled. We are all Christian." Bridget stopped and thought for a moment before she continued, "We are all basically the same person." Kelly said, "Well, how can we be different when we are all raised the same?" Bridget said, "You are right. How can we be different when we all have the same life?" Marana said, "Let's play some more before he tells us to go to bed." All the girls played together for a while. Eventually they got tired and went to bed. They lay in bed. However, it was unpleasant. They could hear their dad and August in the living room talking. Bridget and her sisters were getting annoyed with how loud they were. Bridget tossed and turned many times. Finally, Marana said, "Oh my goodness, when is she going to go home?" Bridget thought, "Oh, I know how you both feel. This is annoying. If we stayed up and talked till 1 a.m, Dad would kill us. This is not fair." Bridget said, "If he stayed up this late and talked, he would kill us." Kaylee angrily said, "Exactly." Bridget lay there and tried not to be mad. However, she lost the internal fight. Bridget lay there angry. She thought, "I hope they break up. Why can't she go home?" After a while, Bridget said her prayers and she tried to sleep. It took a while, but soon all the sisters fell asleep.